Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Following the NATO summit in Vilnius, President Andrzej Duda convened a meeting of the National Security Council today. For the first time since the Cold War, the alliance created and approved new defence plans. In addition, a number of decisions were made to bring Ukraine closer to NATO.
The meeting was attended by representatives of the government and all political parties. In addition to the issues officially discussed at the NATO summit, the president briefed the meeting on decisions and documents that are confidential. It was certainly a very constructive meeting, and I hope that full information on the conduct of the NATO summit and the behind the scenes of the NATO summit and all the discussions that were held there with our participation has been conveyed in detail to the entire spectrum of our political scene. In the event of an attack on any alliance country, NATO will be prepared to deploy up to 100,000 troops in just a few days and 200,000 troops within a month. For the first time since the end of the Cold War, we have plans that address the defense of every piece of land belonging to the North Atlantic Pact. Perhaps on the surface it is not very spectacular, but in reality it is indeed very important. President Andrzej Duda pointed out that Russian nuclear weapons have been just over Poland's eastern border since June. NATO's nuclear umbrella is spread over all member states, that includes us, and that in case of any threat, there will be an immediate response from NATO here. Currently, 3 NATO members have nuclear weapons. That includes the United States, the United Kingdom, and France. In turn, Belgium, Germany, the Netherlands, Italy, and Turkey participate in the nuclear sharing program. We also want to try to join the nuclear sharing program. Will nuclear warheads ever be in Poland? Are you convinced they will ever be in Poland? I am convinced that yes. A key issue for Polish defense is the presidential bill on defense planning, which was announced a few days ago by Andrzej Duda. According to unofficial information, the bill is expected to be submitted to the Sejm soon. On the basis of accumulated conclusions and experiences, we have decided to introduce at the statutory level dozens of far-reaching legal solutions to strengthen the defense planning system in the country. The purpose of these changes is to strengthen the coordination of authorities in defense planning in peacetime as well as during a potential crisis. U.S. President Joe Biden has given assurances that the G7 countries will give Ukraine a security guarantee. The plan aims to build a strong Ukrainian army.
After nearly a year and a half of Russia's forces committing terrible atrocities, including crimes against humanity, the people of Ukraine remain unbroken. Ukraine remains independent. It remains free. And the United States has built a coalition of more than 50 nations to make sure Ukraine defends itself both now and is able to do it in the future as well.
The NATO-Ukraine Commission has been replaced by a special council. The inaugural meeting was held yesterday. Never before have the words, "You are equal among us," coming from the lips of our NATO allies sounded so significant. Not everyone understands that this is a fact. An equal among equals. This will only be confirmed by our victory in joining the North Atlantic Pact. A year from now, the North Atlantic Pact will celebrate its 75th birthday. In 2024, the NATO summit will be held in Washington, D.C.
Earlier today, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol and First Lady Kim Keon-hee started a 2-day visit to Warsaw, Poland. The meeting comes a day after the NATO summit in Vilnius, which both presidents attended. Yoon and Kim were greeted at Poland's presidential palace by President Andrzej Duda and First Lady Agata Kornhauser-Duda. Furthermore, President Duda and I welcomed the expansion of cooperation between our countries in strategic areas such as nuclear power, defense and infrastructure. In particular, we also agreed that South Korea and Poland could be optimal partners in the reconstruction of Ukraine. South Korea signed a $13.7 billion arms deal with Poland, Seoul's biggest ever, last year, and is using it to lay the groundwork for a military-industrial juggernaut that the two nations' defence companies hope will feed Europe's need for weapons far into the future. The cooperation between Poland and Korea has intensified a lot in the field of armaments industry. Today, Korean armament products are making the Polish army more modern. We have recently received Fa-50 combat aircraft. Today, we already have Korean K2 tanks. We have K9 howitzers in the Polish army, and there will be more products like these. We hope that we will not only buy new defence equipment in Korea for our soldiers, but that it will also be produced in Poland, and among other things, during this visit, we are seeking to have K2 tanks produced in our country. The deal with Poland, a key NATO member, included hundreds of Chonmu rocket launchers, K2 tanks, K9 self-propelled howitzers, and FA-50 fighter aircraft. The deal's value and the number of weapons involved made it stand out even among the world's biggest defence players. Ukrainian residents in the eastern city of Kramatorsk said they understood why Ukraine could not join the NATO alliance immediately and were united in their call for more weapons and fighter jets. Residents of Kramatorsk spoke out as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky addressed NATO leaders on the sidelines of the two-day summit in Vilnius. Of course, everyone wants it to happen tomorrow so that NATO troops enter and finish it. But we probably should not count on it. I think we should only count on ourselves and be grateful for what they are giving us. They are providing assistance step by step. We would like to have more, including F-16 jets. In my opinion, Ukraine should have become a NATO member in 2015 when it became clear that there was an aggressor, and not in 2024 or 2025 or 2026. Wasn't this enough? Until the war ends, it is obvious that we will not join NATO. It was pretty obvious and it was made clear before. The main task is to get as many weapons as possible, which we need to secure victory. Kramatorsk residents polled by Reuters agreed that Ukraine must become a member of NATO. We must be part of the European Union and NATO. We must be with the rest of Europe so that Russia will know where it belongs and be put in its place, which is number one from the end of the list. One local entrepreneur, Anna, said that they could work on an alliance with Poland and the Baltic countries. If not NATO membership, then it can be some other coalition of the countries who are ready to create something new. I think it will be Poland, the Baltic countries, the countries who were suppressed by Russia and who understand what it is like. They are the first to help us out. It is likely that they can create some sort of alliance together with us. The United States and global allies unveiled new security assurances for Ukraine designed to bolster the country's defences against Russia over the long haul, while Kyiv strives for membership of the alliance. A declaration by the G7 grouping of the world's most industrialised countries launched a framework for bilateral negotiations to provide military and financial support, intelligence sharing, and a promise of immediate steps if Russia should attack again. Kramatorsk lies west of the front lines in Donetsk province and will be a likely objective in any westward advance by Russia. The city has been a frequent target of Russian attacks. Up to 12 people were killed when a Russian missile hit a restaurant in the eastern city at the end of June. Instead of slapping on greasy sunscreen, locals and tourists in Croatia are slathering themselves in mud, an age-old trick finding a new use as Europe enters a second record heatwave. The mud on the Queen's Beach at Nin in Croatia can be used both as a sunscreen replacement and to improve skin quality, and is a total sunblock. I decided on mud because of the skin problems I have. If it didn't help, I wouldn't have been coming here for over 20 years. You can't compare it with the protection factor of sun cream. With mud there is no chance of getting sunburnt, otherwise I have no problems. The treatment just needs to be endured. Is it perfect in terms of results? After a certain time you will definitely feel it, but it is strenuous. It's not only local Croatians hoping that covering themselves generously in a thick layer of mud will keep their skin safe from the sun. Tourists from Austria, Lithuania, Poland and Slovakia are also among the crowd bracing themselves against the summer sun and trying to find protection underneath the mud.
It's definitely better than sun cream, and I think the protection factor is much better.
The mud is perfect for the skin and it's better than sunscreen and it's perfect for the heat.
And so for many tourists in Nin, a trip to the beach is a pretty messy affair, possibly rejuvenating, but they are not going home with sunburn as a souvenir for sure. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.